Today we're going to recap The Last of Us Episode 2 and then analyze it. I hate long intros, so here we go! This mycology professor drinks some tea and provides some positive feedback to the barista.
Boom.
It's become gospel in zombie media to focus on the characters instead of the science, and The Last of Us is actually a great return to form. A week ago I settled on recapping the show, poking fun at it here and there, but Episode 2 was so good that it feels disingenuous to even try. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Our second episode introduces the sprawling, post-apocalyptic landscape outside the quarantine zone. It flaunts Mother Nature slowly but surely taking back what's hers in breathtaking distinction that I'd be able to enjoy if it wasn't filmed during an earthquake. Look, I stabilized this footage. Notice how you can read expressions on the characters' faces? Marlene told Ellie at the risk of her life that she couldn't tell anyone she was the key to the vaccine. So Ellie tells them she's the key to the vaccine. The trio does some adventuring and comes to a roadblock that Tess agrees to work out. While waiting for her, Joel and Ellie play 21 questions, except Joel stops the game at 1. I deeply appreciate this. A cheap writer would have used this downtime to tell us things about Joel and Ellie, but even with dialogue, they still show us things about the characters. The whole show don't tell thing. Joel shuts down, opting out of the questionnaire after some basic Q&A we already knew the answers to, and this reinforces just how cemented Joel is per the trauma of losing his daughter. Ellie's honest and open curiosity, although unreciprocated, tells us she's not been quite tainted by the whims of the world. A light versus darkness kind of thing. Well done, you clever bastards. Tess mentions that because fungus spread through the ground, the infected can be alerted to activity up to even a mile away. Again, I'm supposed to be making fun of things here, but God, that is such a cool angle to introduce. Just when I thought the genre was dried up, they found a way to make the already scariest rendition of the genre even scarier. Literally taking a step outside a quarantine zone could be a death sentence. Well done, you clever bastards. Joel does the Joel face some more and they decide to cut through a museum. Upon entering, they discover it may not be safe, but they've got no other options. Tess whispers until Ellie whispers, and then whispering isn't allowed anymore. An entire floor collapses, but then Ellie gasps, and the fungus fuckers start the hoedown. After a hard-fought battle, the trio escapes with their lives and are finally almost at the Firefly checkpoint thing. I'm loving the dynamic between Tess and Joel. Although it's kind of odd she's not in any of the promotional material and isn't in the intro, and oh, would you look at that, she dies. I actually was shocked here. I knew she probably wouldn't last of us, but to send her off in episode 2 was bold. And it paid off. Joel started this voyage with so little hope, and for her to become a symbol gives the most logical motivation to a cold, unmotivated man to keep pushing. Joel dips with Ellie and Tess stays behind. An infected approaches her, and as she's taken aback by his beauty, the two embrace. Quicker recap this time around. I wanted to get right to the analysis. So, last week, for those who haven't seen it, I made a kind of thematic prediction that this series is going to explore our relationship to suffering. The first episode asked, without asking, do we need to suffer? The hints were abundant, because where Joel is lost, he became wiser, where Ellie was bit, may be the cure, so on and so forth. Episode 2, a very visually focused installment, answers that question with its imagery. Opening the episode, Ellie's depicted undisturbed in an open patch of grass inside a crumbling building. Later, we're given a mesmerizing view, complementary only by the collapse of society. Ducks wading in water without a care. The water a mess of sludge in a destroyed hotel. Look at this. The set design was painstakingly built from the ground up for months. Out of the mud, the shit, and the sludge comes the light, the pure innocence of a daisy. Light in darkness. Light and darkness have been motifs since the teaser of the first episode, but the second installment really hits it home. We're being very poetic here, but listen to what the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung explained. There is no coming to consciousness without pain. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This is reinforced by our sudden farewell to Tess. I believe the writers use fire to kill infected people for a reason. Of course, scientifically it makes sense, but Looking at it poetically, fire is light. Fire penetrates even the deepest dark, the most vile and horrifying elements of the world, and after we lose Tess in a rather violent burst, there is light. Our protagonist and deuteragonist have just begun the road of trials, and there is much more pain to come. But in this agony, in each coming loss and brush with death, they move closer and closer to what the Buddhists called nirvana, what Christians called heaven, what Muslims call paradise. Don't be fooled. The journey isn't the road to the Firefly HQ. It's instead a return home, a return to form, a warm place where Joel can love again. As the childhood psychologist Erik Erikson described, life doesn't make any sense without interdependence. We need each other, and the sooner we learn that, the better for us all. However, this reality might have been lost on Joel had he never lost and suffered the way he did. This is what Joseph Campbell describes as the Night Sea journey, the hero quest, where the individual is going to bring forth in his life something that was never beheld before. The hero's journey, the one you've heard about in other videos and maybe a language arts class, bears enormous significance between the lines. These elements of literature aren't just dancing for themselves, toys to exercise the mind with. There's something else going on there. The hero's journey is the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, a symbol of cyclical return. Joel, modern man, must undergo unfathomable, unprecedented loss, but then he must make a return. Loss and pain are not the greatest teachers, they're the only teachers. And it's only in loss do you understand what you had to begin with. Finding a warm center again, a reason for living above himself, will be Joel's return. He'll wind up where he started, but having undergone such apocalyptic upheaval, will now understand what it means. What The Last of Us seems to suggest through Ellie, whose name means light, implies that there may be something else, something innocent above, greater than our agony, findable only in the darkness. Because, as Jung went on to explain, the gold is in the dark. And that's what episode 2 has promised us, that out of the mess comes reason. That Ellie is a part of Joel, a light in darkness, waiting to be mended by the long road ahead. Episode 2 down, 7 to go. Thank you if you made it this far. It's still a new area for me. The second half of the video, that's the stuff I usually do, and it's been a lot of fun spreading my wings with the more lighthearted stuff. I would absolutely love to hear any and all feedback in the comments. If you like what you're seeing, hit subscribe because I've got more coming, and I will see you in the next one.